only thing he really needs to do is walk and jog. They don't have to gallop and chase down criminals or anything.
The horse can handle the job. It's the politicians who are confused tonight, live at 5.
Now, from the ATV News Center at every city and town in the Maritimes, this is the ATV Evening News, live at 5.
Good evening. It is Monday, April 18th. I'm Nancy Regan.
And I'm Paul Meunier, and welcome to the Monday edition of Live at 5. Here's a look at some of the stories ATV reporters around the region are working on for tonight's show.
Hardy McKay has lived here all his life. This is the foundation of his home. His home was floated downriver and is located right there. A lifetime of savings and dedication is gone forever. I'll have Mr. McKay's story in a moment on Live at 5.
I'm Kate Letterick in Hayesville, New Brunswick, where residents are adding up the emotional and physical toll of the flood. I'll have more coming up on Live at 5.
I'm Mike Cameron in Fredericton. There's a number of agencies helping New Brunswickers as they cope with floodwaters. We'll take a look at the Red Cross later in Live at 5.
I'm Dan McIntosh in Ald's Cove, where work to rebuild a badly damaged shoreline is proceeding full speed ahead. I'll have more later on Live at 5.
United States of America. So he was looking in Scripture, and in Psalms he saw the inspiration.
And also ahead tonight, a special anniversary in New Brunswick. We'll celebrate a bilingual milestone later.
Also tonight, Tom Arnold and Roseanne. It was marital bliss. What's in their future now? We'll tell you later on. And just what the doctor ordered to cure those Monday blues. We've got the Live at 5 exclusive plays of the weekend later.
All this and much more ahead on the Monday edition of Live at 5. First, here's Steve Murphy working on the ATV Evening News at 6. Steve.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. Afternoon, everybody. People who live along the St. John River are worried as ice jams head their way. That's the lower St. John Valley we're talking about. Many of those in the Fredericton area believe the worst may be over for them as the water levels hit nearly 8 meters before finally leveling off. We have the latest on the flood watch as communities batten down the hatches tonight at 6 o'clock. Also tonight, a maritimer with a huge stake in those video gambling machines is collecting hundreds of his machines tonight. The reason? John Excitis says it's because he wants to protect the store owners until the Nova Scotia government decides what to do about those machines. More on that coming up at 6 o'clock tonight. And also, the money crunch in the university system is forcing government to think about merging some universities. It may sound like an unlikely prospect, but tonight we look at the pros and cons of that idea, and we'll hear what the universities and the students who attend them have to say about it. Right now, it's time for our first fast look at the maritime weather forecast. Here's meteorologist Phil McLaughlin. Phil?
Thanks again, Steve. Well, with the problem in New Brunswick with the flooding, we certainly don't want more rain, but we do have some coming, but not a lot, thank heavens. Today, not too bad a day across the Maritimes. We even had a few snow flurries across the northern parts of the area. When I'm back later, of course, the complete prognosis here on Live at 5. Steve?
All right, Phil's forecast at 5:30, and then at 6 o'clock, all the day's top stories, including, are you doing your part to reduce, reuse, and recycle garbage? Tonight, we look at whether maritimers are really taking part in municipal environmental programs. And we also find out who's cashing in from the move to make a more environmentally sound way of disposing our trash. That story and more at 6. Now it's back to Live at 5 and Nancy and Paul.
Thank you, Steve.
And we're putting flooding first at 5 tonight. Ice jams and rivers across New Brunswick continue to cause flooding. Homes have been destroyed and lives lost as New Brunswickers cope with nature's fury. But also tonight, hope in hard times, neighbors helping neighbors in their time of need.
Imagine, if you can, for a moment, how you would feel if everything you owned was destroyed. Well, residents of Hayesville on the southwest Miramichi River still can't believe their own eyes. Over the weekend, raging floodwaters, along with massive chunks of ice, destroyed homes and property. Hardy McKay made a home and a life for himself 55 years ago in the community. Today, he has nothing left.
Everything he owns now lies in ruins. ATV's Peter Ryan with Mr. McKay's story tonight.
When did you first get in, Mr. McKay, to see what it was like inside?
Yesterday morning.
Yeah.
The first time I was in here. Yeah.
Everything has shifted.
All twisted to pieces and everything gone out, remember, everything on top of it. In the other room, everything went out the window. In the living room, went out the window and down. And everything here was just completely under. Just mud and everything just, well, ruined the whole thing. There's nothing there now.
It's actually hard to stand on the floor here.
It's
shifted. It's slanting.
I think everything is probably gone. The sills and everything is gone out underneath it. And
It twisted the house, the ice?
twisted the house, yeah.
And that's why it came off the foundation?
That's why it came off.
Yeah.
And then when the ice hit it, I guess, helped bring it to. The ice hit it, and such a gush of water with the force behind it when the jam let go.
You can't save anything here.
No, there's nothing. We're just going to probably bulldoze it down, I suppose, with the tractor and bury it. That's about all you can do. See, there was Chesterfield sitting here, and the chair, and the love seat, and the recliner, and another rocker down there, and everything just went out this window here. And a lot of it was their 25th anniversary stuff was in there. We got some of that.
There's nothing really that you can save,
really
hey?
You can save at all, no.
It didn't break, though.
It didn't break. We did get some of their 25th anniversary stuff. There's something right there, eh?
That's 25th anniversary?
I think it was, yeah. Well, I'd like to go elsewhere now. Somewhere in the area, though. I don't want to move away too far, you know. It's a good place and a good bunch of neighbors. Of course, they're probably, most of them going to be gone, too.
Ice strewn everywhere.
Ice everywhere through the yards. And there's a whole mile stretch here. It's everybody, we all got the same thing pretty well. Some a little worse than others, but I think they're all pretty well destroyed, though.
And sadly, your brother who lives next door...
Yeah,
his house is destroyed as well.
His house has had it, there's nothing in it. Nothing at all, and his basement's ruined, and everything in there's gone.
Well, I wish you luck. I hope things work out for you again.
Yeah, I sure hope so. Sure hope so. She's sure a mess. 5 minutes, just think. Everything can go in 5 minutes, eh? Not much guarantee, is it?
No. Good luck in the future.
Okay, and thanks.
That was ATV's Peter Ryan with Hardy McKay in Hayesville, New Brunswick. There is no doubt that this flood has left residents with emotional damage, but there is also the financial devastation to assess. ATV's Kate Lettrick joins us live from Fredericton with more on the relief effort. Kate.
Well, Nancy, there's no doubt that it will be quite some time before the mess from this flood is cleaned up. But in the meantime, residents are wondering who's going to pay for the damage and how they're going to survive.
That's what's left in my basement there, and there was, if you look inside down there, the carrying wall, 6 feet of that's gone too. See where those studs are there? So it's very iffy.
So your whole house is pretty much...
The whole house pretty well ruined.
The flood in Hayesville has left Kirk Munn's house in a teetering heap. So there's your insurance won't cover anything?
No.
Nothing?
No, it's flood damage, so they don't cover it.
So any idea how much it would cost to fix the house up?
Like to replace the house, between $1,800 and $1,000.
The flood couldn't have come at a more difficult time for Munn.
I could do something, but I mean, I can't go in debt. I mean, we got laid off a dry truck there, and I got laid off 4 weeks ago and haven't had a check come in yet. So I don't know,
you're in a real bad
a bill situation because I got 2 kids and the wife to feed. In the house, you know, thank the heavens we got people around here to look after us and made us in, you know.
Kirk's brother Brent says his house is also devastated. What about your insurance, though? You wouldn't, because it's a flood, are you going to be covered? Are you going to get any compensation for this?
Nothing. It's an act of God, I guess. But if your house burns to the ground, I don't know, you get lots of insurance, but you don't get nothing here. Why, I don't know.
So what happens now? You're going to go to the province and try and get some compensation?
Yeah, we're going to go.
Homes and camps are not the only thing devastated by this flood. The roads have also been damaged extensively. Provincial transportation officials are already on the scene assessing the destruction. Most residents say their insurance doesn't cover flood damage, so they're hoping the province will provide some compensation. The Emergency Measures Organization is helping with that process.
Today we'll start receiving applications as to the extent of damages and everything. These will be recorded, and then they'll be taken up to a higher level where a decision will be made on what type of compensation they will receive.
Now, the EMO says teams of inspectors from the Housing and Environment Departments are now on the scene, and they're trying to pin a dollar figure on all the damage. Nancy?
And Kate, how do residents apply for government help?
Well, they're being asked to fill out a form to itemize what's been lost and how much it's worth, and then insurance adjusters will be brought in to try and help pin a dollar figure on that, and then the applications will be processed by the province.
A lot of devastation. Thanks, Kate.
Very much. Thanks.
ATV's Kate Lettrick in Fredericton. Now for more on the flooding, Paul.
Well, Lance, in times of crisis, Maritimers have come to rely on volunteers, people who help other people put their lives back together. Our Mike Cameron's been checking on just what some of those volunteers have been doing in New Brunswick, and he joins us now from St. John. Mike?
It's going to take a few days before the long-term needs of the flood victims becomes clear, but In the meantime, they need immediate assistance just for comfort, survival, and perhaps cleanup. Mops and pails and soap. Standard equipment today for a group of Red Cross volunteers working in Fredericton.
My suggestion is that maybe you might go to the Majorville area.
But the team barely makes it to the city's north side when they encounter boaters in a flooded subdivision.
We have some hot coffee and donuts up at the van if you'd like to have some, like no charge, just go up and just help yourself. Okay. Whew, she's getting deep.
Mark Fournier is out checking on homeowners.
Would you like some hot coffee or donuts? Okay. We can bring some down to you.
Oh, that's okay.
All right.
It's really good for them to come around like that. Helps a lot. Like, everybody's basically got their all power shut off, so they can't make their own coffee right now anyways.
Or just a donut.
Breakfast. Thanks.
Were you happy to see these guys come along?
Yes, I was. Coffee's great. It's my second cup of the day. Greatly appreciate it.
Another family is taken out of their home by canoe.
Sun's on steady.
The helping hand here is part of a much larger effort across the province.
We have volunteers in Perth Andover and Florenceville, Fredericton and Hayesville.
And with most floodwaters receding, the Red Cross now needs donations for people cleaning up.
We're presently looking at cleaning supplies. That is the area that we'd like to be able to offer people if that's a need that they have.
Volunteers have also been on the scene in Hayesville, preparing meals for residents and for other volunteers who are now starting the cleanup. We should also point out that over the weekend, a lot of the work done in Hayesville was done by volunteer firefighters. They were the first to go in many of the homes to see if it was safe for the residents to go back into their homes. So should just give them a pat on the back as well, Paul.
Indeed, Mike. Certainly has been quite a weekend for the residents and for, as you say, all of the volunteers, and for you people for covering it and keeping us up to date on it. Thanks, Mike.
All right.
Live at 5 continues. Right now, though, we want to take a break and go to the 6 o'clock news desk for some breaking news. Steve, what's up?
Paul, word just in a moment ago from Ottawa. The leader of the New Democratic Party, Audrey McLaughlin, has confirmed she will not be leading the party in the next election. She will be stepping down. She doesn't say when, and she also says she will stay on as Member of Parliament for Yukon. She'll also stay on until her replacement is named. So once again, it's official. Audrey McLaughlin will quit the leadership of the NDP. A complete report coming up on your news at 6 o'clock. Right now, here's Nance.
Thank you, Steve. And straight ahead, another example of Mother Nature's cruelty. Residents of one maritime town are faced with $1 million job because of the winter of '94. We've got the story when Live at 5 returns.
This means everything. The only thing, it should have been done a long time ago, because we're going to start buying lobsters tomorrow. We're running out of time. That's the only thing, but it's good to be getting it done.
Yeah. Well, you've got a good start on it on the other side.
Prince Edward Island's famous red-haired orphan Anne of Green Gables was off and running, so to speak, with the Queen's Baton this morning. The Queen's Baton is the Commonwealth Games version of the Olympic torch. It's just starting a cross-country trek to the Games to be held in British Columbia this summer. The baton, designed by Aboriginal artists from the West Coast, is a soul catcher, but inside, instead of the essence of the bearer's spirit, it's carrying a message from the Queen, which will be read at the Commonwealth Games opening ceremonies in Victoria, BC.
Isn't that neat? Well, you know, sometimes we forget just how lucky we are to be Canadians, but for Maheen Safari and 16 other new citizens, today was a great day.
Today was the most exciting day of my life, to become a Canadian. It's really an honor and privilege.
Citizenship in Charlottetown this afternoon, and one of hundreds of citizenship court ceremonies to be held all across Canada this week. Along with the privilege of signing up as new Canadians, Maheen and her new Canadian friends received a welcome that included new citizen T-shirts. This year's Citizenship Week coincides with Volunteer Week, so many of the volunteers who work to help immigrants learn about Canada were also honored at today's ceremony on the island.
Well, as we saw in First to 5 tonight, it's been a rough go for a number of maritime citizens. The people of Ald's Cove at the Canso Causeway know all too well the power of nature, as do the people of New Brunswick now. A fierce storm last winter caused more than $1 million damage, but today the work to rebuild the shoreline was going at full speed.
ATV's Dan McIntosh has more for us.
You must like to hear that noise?
That sounds good.
What does it sound like?
That really sounds good.
Highland Anderson watches as rock and fill is dumped in back of the family lobster pound. With last winter's storm, the shoreline had eroded right to the back door. After some initial government red tape, the work has begun to rebuild and reinforce the shore.
This means everything. The only thing, it should be done a long time ago. Because we're going to start buying lobsters tomorrow, Wednesday, and we're running out of time. That's the only thing, but it's good to be getting it done.
Just down from the lobster business, Mary Forrestall is hoping the restoration work moves quickly before more of her yard falls over the cliff.
I was thinking, yeah, I was wanting to see if they get over and get it done quickly, because I got to put a septic tank in, a whole new system. See, every rainstorm, the ground is falling away. This big piece fell off here. Then another rainstorm that took the rest of the fireplace. Every rainstorm, the land is washing away.
So you're hoping to see that rock wall come over here as quickly as they
I
can?
hope that rock wall comes over as quickly and they push this and fill this in here some way or another.
Anderson says the plan for this section of shoreline is to start at the lobster pound, move down by the houses, and end up here at the wharf within 2 or 3 weeks. After that, they'll move to repair the rest of the shoreline. The wharf itself is being repaired too, and that's good news for local fishermen.
We got lobster season starting in a week and a half now, so time's getting close, so we got to have our gear and our stuff on the wharf. And so this stuff has to be done now in order for us to be ready to go lobster fishing on the 30th of April. It's hard to underestimate the power of the sea, you know. It can do a lot of damage, as you can see there, so we just let it take her as she comes, I guess. Mother Nature.
In Alts Cove, Dan McIntosh, ATV News.
Work. Thank you, Dan. You're right. They've got a lot of work ahead of them, don't they? Well, still to come on Live at 5 tonight, Phil's fearless forecast and Paul's patented plays.
But straight ahead, we're going to celebrate a rather significant maritime milestone. That's when Live at 5 returns.
Because right now I'm unemployed, and if I had a lot of jobs, you have to be bilingual, which makes it hard sometimes. Other than that, I don't see any problems.
Smiling faces and happy voices sang out their hearts in St. John this afternoon at the New Brunswick Music Festival. The festival got underway today and will continue until April 29th. Students from Seawood Elementary School were competing in the singing, games, and folk dance category, and it looks like fun.
And the New Brunswick Festival is certainly one of the biggies in the region, so there should be some interesting performances and a lot of nervous kids and musicians involved in that.
Lots of talent.
Yeah, just a few milestones for tonight. We're going to start with Michael and Dorothy Collins of Dartmouth. They were married in Yorkshire, England 50 years ago today. Michael was a Canadian soldier and Dorothy was in the English WRAF. They have 2 children and 5 grandchildren, and they, along with many family and friends, wish them all the best. I'm also celebrating their golden anniversary today, Art and Eileen LeBlanc of St. Louis to Kent. They have 3 children and 7 grandchildren, and they and many family and friends send them love and congratulations on this special day.
And celebrating a special birthday today, this lady, Mrs. Margaret Myers, who lives in Furrow at Townsview Estates. In fact, I'm not sure which one she is, but I'm sure she's having a good birthday. Her daughter, 5 grandchildren, 16 great-grandchildren, and 11 great-great-grandchildren wish her much health and happiness as she celebrates today, and I'm sure the other woman in the picture wishes her a happy birthday, too.
St. Louis to Kent. I don't think too many people say St. Louis to Kent.
That's okay.
It's kind of funny going into this story, too, because, you know, it was 25 years ago today that legislation was introduced that will forever change the social landscape in New Brunswick. Bilingualism became official that day, and since then it has evolved, sometimes harmoniously, sometimes with conflict.
ATV's Ron Shaw has this update.
So I believe that the world is changing so fast in this second part of the 20th century that modern ideas have to be implemented.
The times were indeed a-changin'. Before the end of the decade, the Equal Opportunities Program provided the money to make bilingualism work, and under Premier Louis Robichaud, New Brunswick became the first officially bilingual province in 1969.
They don't own the country yet. We still have our rights.
It hasn't all been peace and harmony. From the Poirier-Bastarache hearings to the rise of the Core Party, language remains an emotional issue for some people. Most are somewhere in the middle.
I think it enhances a lot of people's lives for the fact that we become more, we're learning different languages, cultures.
Because right now I'm unemployed, and if I had a lot of jobs, you have to be bilingual, which makes it hard sometimes. Other than that, I don't see any problems.
Has it made it easier for you to get jobs, that kind of thing?
Yes, absolutely. So I can talk to people. It doesn't matter if it's French or English. I can reach a whole lot more people this way. I got a customer.
The president of the National Acadian Society says everyone benefits from bilingualism.
The renaissance of Moncton is one of the reasons is the dynamism of the French entrepreneur in this town.
Ces argents-là peuvent être prêtés.
The legacy of 25 years of official bilingualism may be as important to these students in this classroom as anyone else. It may be an important part of the engine that drives their future.
So I see official bilingualism as the opportunity to protect the right of the francophone, to assure the francophone the right to be taught in French, to be served in French, to live his life in French.
It gives me better job opportunities in the market, meaning that I can speak French and English fluently.
Improved education, both English and French, is seen as the foundation for the future of bilingualism and New Brunswick. In Moncton, Ron Shaw, ATV News.
Thank you, Ron. And in keeping with this special anniversary, a school exchange between two New Brunswick communities is teaching students more than just a second language. For the next week, students from the Kingston Peninsula near St. John have teamed up with students from Pont-Landry, a French community in the northern part of New Brunswick. ATV's Sally Cummings is standing by in St. John tonight, where she caught up with the group today. Sally, how are they making out?
Well, actually, Nancy, there's been a little bit of confusion, mix-ups in the translation, but actually they're doing pretty good at understanding each other and opening the lines of communication between two cultures.
Often it's a shame, but this is a man that was born in New Brunswick, in Gagetown, and moved to St. John.
They started the morning off with a walking tour of St. John.
Okay, now the next stop is going to be in the city market.
No matter where they live in New Brunswick, St. John has had an effect on the whole province commercially.
For the next week, grade 9 students from L'École La Passerelle on the Acadian Peninsula are exchanging with junior high grades from MacDonald Consolidated on the Kingston Peninsula.
It's important because the two communities are important in New Brunswick. They have to know that there are other people that live in New Brunswick and live other ways than we do.
It's pretty neat, though. You know, they're coming down here and they're French, and we're going up there and we're English. And it just gives you a chance to know the person and meet new people.
At times, conversation was difficult. What have you done since you came? Obviously, in your case, there's a few more than just language differences here, eh?
Yeah. He's a little bit taller than I am.
How are you making out?
Good. He's nice.
And while they made only a 5-hour bus trip, the students felt like they were a world apart in many ways.
Learning cultural differences. They're learning what goes on in households, English households compared to French households.
Is it difficult?
A little bit, because I'm in a family that just speak English.
Not only are the students breaking language barriers, but they're also making lasting friendships.
All right, take one. Yeah.
That's lovely. Now, for many of these students, this is actually their first time away from home, and it looks like they're having a great time. They'll be here until Friday.
And Sally, when does the other group get to go to the North Shore?
They're already looking forward to that. They're going to go at the end of May for about a week, and I think they're getting pretty excited about it already.
All right, I guess all I can say, Sally, is bonsoir.
Okay.
Bye. ATV Sally Cummings in St. John. Paul.
And Nancy, if you have a tough time speaking two languages, you might want to consider that given the political and economic lines that are being drawn in the Americas these days, it might be well served to become trilingual and speak a little Spanish as well. Lots more to come in the second half of Live at 5 tonight, including meteorologist Phil McLaughlin with the Maritime Weather Forecast. And we've also got this story still ahead.
I'm John Waterman in Stewiacke, Nova Scotia. When you think of block parents, lost children needing assistance automatically comes to mind. But block parents are available in many maritime communities to assist more than just youngsters. I'll explain later on Live at 5.
And then let the plays begin. We've got the wild, the wacky, the weird, and the wonderful coming up later.
You know, spring is really fighting its way into the Maritimes. It's looking a little better every day, kind of a mixed bag over the weekend throughout the region, but some areas got some sunshine.
Yeah, I think it's winning, no question about it. Welcome back to Live at 5, the Monday edition here on ATV. Richard Zarowski off, taking about a month off or so. It's a little R&R, and Phil McLaughlin's been doing a very able job at the ATV Weather Center, and here he is now with a look ahead over the next few days, see what kind of progress spring is going to make for us. Phil?
Thanks, Paul. But the first thing I have to say now, Nancy gave me a hard time a few minutes ago about the weekend weather. Now, the weekend weather, I said, will start sunny, rain in the middle, end up sunny. That's how it worked out, but Nancy didn't like it. Oh, she liked it. Here's the big picture. Nancy's out there laughing. In the big picture, we have a weather system over the Great Lakes, a weak one, lots of clear skies for the most part across much of North America, and that's a good sign for this week. Recall last week we had thunderstorms and tornadoes down the Tornado Alley area, but the long, broad, high-pressure pattern in the southern Great Lakes or southern North American continent is going to favor us with good weather. So here's the jet stream. It arcs to the north into the southern prairies, and I put the word hot on today because it is hot, into Omaha, Nebraska, expecting a high today of 32 Celsius, but we have this cool pocket of air coming our way, and what that will do for us is just put our temperatures down where they should be this time of year into the high single digits as we go into the week a little more. But before we get there, looking at today's map, we have a weak ridge of high pressure coming in later tonight, but first of all, this trough of low pressure is skirting by and kicked off a few showers here and there. Now, they're very, very scattered. Not everybody enjoyed one. We had a few wet snow flurries across northern New Brunswick as well today. Back over the Great Lakes, the upper lakes, here's this weak system moving our way, bringing a few scattered showers. Not expecting a lot of rain. As I mentioned, this broad, high-pressure ridge to the south is cutting off the flow of moisture coming up from the Gulf of Mexico. So any precipitation with this system coming to the Maritimes, well, it's not going to amount to much, really. And, of course, we don't want any great amount of rain with the flood problem through New Brunswick again. So here's the big picture. We go right to the Great Lakes, and here we see it, rather ominous looking perhaps, but just a lot of thick cloud. Hard to find even a shower coming down at any of the weather stations across this area. But off to much of the North American continent, you can see there, pretty good weather overall. So pretty good going into the long range down the road. So here's the close-up for this hour. Clear skies for the most part across much of the southern Maritimes. Across the north, patchy cloud. 2 showers being reported at Fredericton, St. John, and also Charlottetown in the last hour. So that's the pattern, very, very scattered. And off to the west, we have this trough of low pressure still to swing through overnight tonight, and that will kick off the few scattered showers. So here's put into motion, and we'll just watch this rotate towards the Maritimes, and on its heels, the next system coming out of the Great Lakes, and again, a few scattered showers expected over the next couple of days for here in the 3 provinces. But again, I emphasize we're not expecting a lot of precipitation. Overnight tonight, we will see a few scattered showers, very isolated here and there. You notice I have stars out, so clear spots. I have the sliver of the moon up there as well. It's going to be a cool night. -2 across the north New Brunswick, otherwise near the freezing mark pretty much everywhere. +1 for Cape Breton down in southwestern Nova Scotia. So overall, not too bad a night. And for Tuesday, we'll find the cloud cover to the east over Cape Breton will persist for a little while in the morning, but the sun breaking out, and that being the pattern, sunshine, but cloud coming in from the west. Now, the showers you see here falling on the map, I don't expect those to arrive until evening tomorrow. Breezy out of the south, and as you can see, the daytime highs quite mild, running still above normal for this time of year. Quick look at the long-range outlook as we go into the day Wednesday. We'll find the showers persisting through the day, but gradually getting out 5 to 10 millimeters tops accumulation-wise, staying mild. But for the days Thursday and Friday, a blend of cloud and sunshine, maybe an instability shower on Thursday. And look at the temperatures cooling off, but heck, that's where we should be for this time of year. Back to you, Paul and Nancy.
Thank you, Phil. A winner of a forecast, I guess you could say. Phil always gives us winner forecasts. Now we want to congratulate the winners of free tickets to see Andrew Lloyd Webber's spectacular musical, Cats. Each of these Live at 5 viewers has won a pair of tickets to see Cats opening night. That's this Wednesday at 8 p.m. at the Halifax Metro Center. Congratulations and thanks for taking part in our contest.
Yep, 20 winners, 20 pairs of tickets.
You saw them pretty quickly.
That's okay. They're going to have a great time. And
they know who they are.
Yeah, we gave those away on Friday, as you know. And Wednesday, we're giving away 2 spectacular Cats jackets.
Actually, these jackets are the only 2 of their kind. Isn't that right? You can't buy these in any stores. These
I didn't
have been
know that
made
till now, so
particularly
that
for this
makes it even
purpose.
more impressive. Okay,
Yeah.
so Wednesday night, be sure to tune in, and we'll take a look behind the scenes of Cats as well, right, as it hits the Maritimes opening night.
Exciting stuff.
Well, you know, it's not looking all that rosy with television's most popular comedian and her husband. Roseanne Arnold of ATV's Roseanne has filed for divorce from her husband, Tom. This follows a major marital blow-up on Friday. The couple reportedly engaged in a public shouting match outside the studio where Roseanne is filmed. Apparently, that led to Tom being denied access to the set, even though he's the show's executive producer. Kim Silva, the Arnold's assistant, with whom they entered into a three-way marriage in December as a sort of publicity stunt. You remember that, don't you? She is also said to have been dismissed.
We'll watch that with interest. Well, nothing quite like that happens here, but we do give tours of our ATV studios in Halifax. It's a chance to see where and how our news is produced, a behind-the-scenes look at the news you watch every day, and there's a from-above shot of the ATV News Center in Halifax. The next two available tour dates are Monday, May 2nd and Monday, May 16th at 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. If you're interested, we'd like you to send us your name, address, and phone number and indicate which of these dates you would prefer. The address is Live at 5, ATV Tours, care of Live at 5, P.O. Box 1653, Halifax, Nova Scotia, B3J2Z4. I should know that address by now, don't you think?
Yep. There's still lots more to come on the Monday edition of Live at 5, including an organization that wants to make sure your kids are safe. We've got tips from block parents when Live at 5 returns.
We are there for all citizens, particularly teenagers who may be running into bad situations, peer pressure, that type of thing, or a girl who realizes she's on a date that's turned bad.
The grade 9s from Park Junior High were very industrious today. Good thing, since they were in Redmond McDougall's industrial technology class. And certainly a nice end table they're working on there. Might look good in somebody's living room, maybe even Steve Murphy's. Right now, though, he's got bigger things on his mind, preparing the ATV Evening News at 6. What's up, Steve?
Well, busy news day, Paul. There's more tonight on the flood watch here in the Maritimes after a weekend of tragedy in central New Brunswick. The worst may be over now for those hit by flooding along the upper part of the St. John River Valley, but for those downriver, it could be just the beginning. We're on the flood watch tonight in the ATV Evening News at 6 o'clock. Also here tonight, some maritime pet owners worried for their animal safety after the apparent beating death of a wild muskrat. Now, apparently this animal was the victim of a savage attack by a group of 11 and 12-year-olds. We have more on the story, reaction to it, and what's being done tonight at 6 o'clock. And also tonight, thanks but no thanks, the New Brunswick Conservative Party has given thumbs down to the idea of allowing renegade Corps members into their party. The move would have given the Tories official opposition status, but Dennis Cochran says no thanks. We'll get the reason for the rebuff here and reaction to it at 6 o'clock, right after Live at 5, which continues now. Here's Nance.
Thank you, Steve. Representatives of Canada's block parents are gathering in Halifax for a national conference. Block parents were established a quarter of a century ago after the murder of a young Ontario girl. Now there are thousands of block parents Canada-wide, but their responsibilities have expanded in recent years to include more than just youngsters. ATV's John Waterman joins us now to explain. John.
Nancy, there are literally hundreds of block parents in communities all across the Maritimes. Now, their homes provide safe places for everyone in the communities, not just kids. Signs like this in the windows of homes are a familiar sight.
You go to them if you're in trouble, if someone's hurting you or something, and they're chasing you.
Chris, what do you know about block parents?
Well, when you're in trouble, you go to them and they help you if you need them.
Give me your money, little kid.
A growing number of incidents block parents have to deal with involve schoolyard or on the way home from school fights.
In the past, several incidents that we've had reported to the board, the advisory board, there were bullying with kids going to block parents' homes and seeking help.
Being a block parent involves so much more than just being there to help children who become lost or need assistance.
Hello. My car broke down. I was just wondering if you could call service truck for me.
Being a block parent in the 1990s means caring for just about anyone who might come to your door, like older adults. Perhaps their car has broken down and they need to get help.
We are there for all citizens, particularly teenagers who may be running into bad situations, peer pressure, that type of thing, or a girl who realizes she's on a date that's turned bad, or seniors who may be not feeling too well or maybe a little confused or having car trouble, that type of thing.
It's a common misconception that block parents can be found only in cities and towns. Not so. Stewiacke is one of the scores of maritime rural communities where block parents can often be found.
We have a program now called the Rural Decals, which are small sticker style symbols that are put on your mailbox. And so this gets the family or the home that lives, you know, a couple of 100 yards or so off the main highway to still be able to become involved with the block parent program.
And Nancy, the Block Parents organization is currently on a recruitment drive. If you are interested in possibly becoming a block parent, you can get the necessary information on how to go about it. If you talk to someone who is a block parent right now, they'll be happy to get that necessary information.
All right, John, I have to ask, did the folks you talked to today seem to have a lot of pride in being block parents?
Very much so. They consider themselves to be a very important part of the community in being there to help people, not only youngsters, as you saw in that report, but also older adults as well, if they run into a problem when they're out in the community. Block parents, like I said, are a very proud group of people, and they feel they're doing a good job.
All right, thanks, John.
Okay.
ATV's John Waterman in Halifax, and obviously a lot of Maritimers out there making contributions to their communities. Paul.
And Yvonne Colbert this week is making a contribution to herself, getting a little R&R as well. She'll be back on Monday. And when we return, the wild, the wacky, the weird, the wonderful, yes, it is a bumper crop this week of the plays of the weekend. Don't go away, they're up next. And there she goes, a landmark building in the Chicago suburb of Cicero leveled yesterday. The 6-story telephone company building was imploded onto itself by demolition experts. And you sure wouldn't want to have rank amateurs handling a job like that. Time for the Live at 5 exclusive plays of the weekend. How'd you spend your weekend? Probably not like these crazy campers in Colorado. A little, or should we say a skimpy spring snow ballet in Colorado. And they were involved in all kinds of drama and weird things on the hills. Hey, the NHL has its own pageant underway. It's called the Playoffs. Here, Mike Peluso and Brad May present their little one-act play. And in the playoffs, there have been some surprises. I'm sure the Capitals were surprised when Mario Lemieux's shot banked in off a Washington defenseman. But the Capitals, thanks to some brilliant work by goalie Don Beaupre, got the final laugh in this one. Curtis Joseph, a.k.a. Cujo, also some spectacular saves, but his team lost to Dallas in Game 1. The only shutout of the playoffs thus far belongs to this guy, Mike Richter of the Rangers. The hit of the weekend also in that game, Darius Kasparaitis on Eddie Olchuk, an lineman, just for good measure. The best goal, however, was in soccer. Watch Paolo Di Canio in the Napoli-Milan match fake 2 defenders right out of their cleats. That's just an excellent goal. And coming right out of the shell, a momentous occasion for the Colorado Rockies. Almost as exciting as that soccer goal. Check this out. Nancy, this is the arrival of the Colorado Rockies mascot on the season. Yeah, right. Hatching a new season, if you will. And his arrival also heralds the baseball plays of the weekend, starting with what appear to be newborn fielders. These are the Minnesota Twins missing fly balls all over the place in Oakland. You know, the Twins play in a nice dome. I think the sunshine thing, a bit of a problem early in the season for these guys. Cleveland Indians shortstop Omar Vizquel had the worst weekend, though. This was his 3rd error of the game. That allowed 2 runs to score. We're going to call him Oh No Omar. That's what the manager did. Best play by a pitcher, Kent Merker, chasing the comebacker to help the red-hot Atlanta Braves, and himself getting out. Best play at 3rd, Ozzie Guillen of the White Sox. Best leap in a line drive, Mickey Morandini of the Phillies. Hang on to that sucker. Going hard and right. Bernie Williams of the New York Yankees. He's got a spectacular catch. And the best diving catch of the weekend, David Hulse of the Texas Rangers. He left the ground to get that one. Best catch going over a warm-up mound. Turner Ward of the Brewers. I mean, it's lucky he didn't kill himself in this one. I don't know. He looks back, watch him look back. What the heck was that? Get rid of those things. In a game of chicken, the New York Mets' Ryan Thompson and Jeff Kent come close to colliding. Watch the replay here. It's Kent who makes the out. I mean, it's lucky that no one was knocked out on this one, huh? Woo, that's a close call, baby.
Choreography.
The hothead, yeah, choreography. Hothead player of the weekend, no doubt about it. The San Francisco-Florida game. San Diego, the Marlins takes exception to the pitch. They caught the number on his bat, and he charges the mound. Check this out, though. Wrestling at its best, the pitcher with an excellent takedown there. Hothead fans of the weekend in Seattle, angry that Milwaukee was intentionally walking Ken Griffey Jr. The fans threw their balls in the field. It's the last time Seattle will pull that promotion. They give 20,000 balls away. Most of them were on the field. Hey, it could be worse for the players. You could be in the Punjab Rural Olympics, where sideshow events include pulling tractors, being run over by tractors, and then they have the more traditional Sikh sports. Kind of a weird and wacky weekend in the Punjab as well. Hey, you want to get hit?
No.
You ready? Get ready, because here it comes. There's Will Nikita delivering a right on Kennedy McKinley right there.
Ouch.
But one punch does not a winner make. McKinley comes back with his own. Coming up here. Yeah, he's up, and he's going to deliver one here to retain the IBF Junior Featherweight title. Oh, it's a brutal sport, isn't it? Hey, the biggest boxing mismatch, Michael Carbajal versus Charles Barkley. Carbajal also took on Dan Marley of the Phoenix Suns. Now, obviously, folks, this was all in jest. And what fun they had, huh? Michael Carbajal getting a step up here on Charles Barkley. Raising some money, too, I think. Hey, in your face is Peyton DeKemp of the Sonics and slapping his own face. Yeah, Lee Trevino, the PGA Senior, is upset with the shot he made, but for the most part, his shots were great, like this birdie, and he beat Ray Floyd for the title. All right, we're going to sink our teeth into the automobile moments of the week. Japan Grand Prix, check this out. We're getting too close to the competition. I can put you right out of the race. Same thing in Indy racing. Witnesses crash in Long Beach, California. This next one, this guy, remember that movie Smokey and the Bandit? Remember Sheriff Buford's pusser? Remember that scene in that movie, Smokey and the Bandit, when he left the washroom there in a trail of paper? I don't know. This one just kind of reminds me of that scene. The wildest crash in Melbourne. Neville Blythe nails the disabled car. No one hurt in this one, folks. And that brings us to the end of another hot edition of the Plays of the Week. And be sure to get down, won't you? In front of your TV set, that is, on Friday for the Plays of the Week. Well, we'll have a lot more of that kind of stuff. Get down,
Great
man.
plays.
Get down. Hey, just...
Are you out of breath? That's amazing. Those were
Got
great.
my oxygen tank over there.
For the commercial break.
Yeah, I got to bring you up to date on a story. Remember Pedro Martinez, the Montreal Expos pitcher, the kid who had a perfect game going, and then he hit Reggie Sanders of Cincinnati.
Right.
Reggie Sanders charged the mound, and fined and suspended 5 games, but he's appealed immediately, so he's not going to miss any action. I thought you'd just like to know.
We'll see. I'm glad you told me that. Hey, coming up on Live at 5, will mounted officers ride again in Halifax? Will justice draw a haycheck? Or will naysayers carry the day? We'll find out when Live at 5 returns.
In order to make a good police horse, you've got to have a horse that's quiet, first of all. He can't mind traffic and ladders and dogs and all the other things that you meet when you walk down a city street.
Cart.
Welcome back to Live at 5. The king is gone, and in his place, justice will prevail, or maybe not.
Yeah, justice is a horse, but just who owns the 1,200-pound Halifax police protector has become somewhat of a puzzle. Now, ATV's Tiffany Hussey unravels the mystery of justice.
Happy trails to you until we meet again.
This was King in his heyday. The police department's last service mount died of old age and hard duty after serving 13 years pounding the beat.
A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty hi-yo silver. Hi-yo silver! Away!
In January, a new horse was bought and paid for by the city.
We've had possession of the horse since about November of 1993, and we've been in the process of training it to put it out on patrol when the summer months hit in around Point Pleasant Park. Usually the amount of patrol starts in May.
Those who house and feed Justice say the city of Halifax pays his hay, or should that be way?
Now, as far as you know, who owns this horse? City of Halifax. Or the police department.
We're here outside Halifax City Hall, and we're going to go inside to find out just exactly who does own Justice, the Halifax Police patrol horse.
Who exactly owns Justice the horse?
Well, it would appear that we indeed
have completed the transaction and do own the horse.
Tomorrow, the police commission will decide the fate of the horse called Justice.
It's part of the history of having a horse within Point Pleasant Park, so council will make the decision tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock.
And from the horse's mouth himself, it seems he has no comment. In Halifax, Tiffany Hussey, ATV News.
Nice tattoo, though.
There you have it.
HPD.
Yeah, there you have it, so you're not confused anymore. Right?
I'm not confused.
So here's Phil McLaughlin to clear up any questions you might have about our weather forecast.
And no horsing around. Looking at the wake-up weather for the day tomorrow, we go with a smile on the face. We'll have a bit of cloud over the eastern parts of the Maritimes, but most of the Maritimes should see sunshine at daybreak. And there are the morning lows, -2 across the northern parts of the 3 provinces, +1 across much of Nova Scotia. And for the day tomorrow itself, just some cloud lingering in the Cape Breton area, but that'll move out, sunshine coming back. And off to our west, the cloud will move in later in the day, showers developing during the evening hours, breezy out of the south, and staying mild as well through the day tomorrow. So not expecting a lot of rain. Again, tops 10 millimeters, that'll be about it. How about a weather fact for tonight? The Aurora Borealis, the Northern Lights, the best time of year to view. Guys, what do you say?
I think it's in February, isn't it?
I say
February.
November.
What was that, February?
February, I think.
I say November.
All right, the answer we had was supposed to come up here. There we go. During the equinox, spring and March. That's the best time, and if I had more time, I could explain really why. But
well, so I was just a little bit closer.
Yeah, I was thinking the equinox was in November.
Closest count in the Aurora Borealis.
You're right.
Borealis. Not to bore you anymore, here's our primetime lineup at 6:30. It's Murphy Brown. Nope, sorry, that's wrong. Full House is at 6:30. I've only been doing this for 100 years. Murphy Brown at 7, Melrose Place at 7:30, and then New Murph at 8:30 for you. Where I Live is on at 9 o'clock. Funny show. These Friends of Mine at 9:30. Have you been watching that? Great show. And at 10 o'clock, movie on ATV tonight is Ride with the Wind.
Then on the Tuesday edition of Live at 5, it can be one of the most traumatic and lonely experiences imaginable. But for these Maritimers, the battle against cancer is not being fought alone. We'll visit the home that Hope built tomorrow on Live at 5.
That's it for the Monday edition of Live at 5. Thanks a lot for watching. The news continues now on ATV. Here's Steve Murphy. Steve?
Thank you, Paul. Tonight, bracing for the worst, worried residents and the flood forecast.
Those end of each one of these piers, the water was up to the top of those.
Taking no chances, gambling machine owner pulls the plug.
We're prepared to keep our machines out until the government makes a policy decision.
And four-legged fury, who would mutilate a muskrat?
Well, I don't know. I just don't think it was right. I mean, I was depressed all day yesterday, and I just don't think it was right for them to do what they did.
Now, from the #1 news team in Atlantic Canada, the ATV Evening News.
Good evening. The floodwaters are falling in Fredericton tonight, but in parts of New Brunswick, the rivers continue to rise. ATV's Laverne Stewart is monitoring the flood situation. She's live in Fredericton with the very latest tonight. Laverne?
Okay, got it. Water levels in the upper St. John River Basin may be getting back to normal, but flooding is causing major headaches for people now here in Fredericton and further downriver.
Despite road closed signs, some people made it through flooded city streets. Others didn't.
Hey! Calm down there!
What a mess.
Danny Wood is one of many people traveling by boat today.
Are you used to doing this?
No, absolutely not. I just bought the house in October.
Were you prepared for a flood like this?
Not at all. I don't think anybody can be prepared for it. It's so pathetic, you might as well laugh about it because there's nothing anybody can do about it.
Imagine having to wade knee-deep in water to get your daily newspapers. Well, that's what people in this area are faced with. It's knee-deep here, and it's chest-high down the road.
Oh, there's probably 3.5 feet of water in the basement. Besides that, we're all right up here. People have to have a place to park the canoes. That's all everyone's doing up here today.
Yeah, everybody's rowing home from work.
Yep.
A lot of damage in your house?
I don't know yet. The basement's still got about 4 feet of water in it right now.
The Emergency Measures Organization says a number of connector roads remained closed throughout the province.
Parts of the Trans-Canada Highway from Lower St. Mary's to Gemseg will remain closed until at least Wednesday. Traffic is being rerouted through Minto and Chipman on Route 10.
The waters crested shortly after midnight to 7.8 meters, and they're on the receding end now. And we expect it to crest in the Gemseg area possibly late tomorrow, Wednesday morning, at 5 meters.
A second crest is expected in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and the water levels will begin to rise again. Now, Steve, the latest flooding information we've received comes from Littleton in the northwest Miramichi, where we've heard that 2 bridges are covered with water. A third could be destroyed. Steve?
Any word on evacuations in that area, Laverne?
Well, what we've gotten so far is from callers. It hasn't been confirmed, but we've been told by several people in the area that a few homes have had to be evacuated. We're waiting for word from the RCMP, getting confirmation on that.
All right, and the flood watch continues. Thanks, Laverne.
Okay.
Disaster of another kind now in a maritime community. Arson has not been ruled out as the cause of a huge fire that destroyed the so-called poorhouse in Marshalltown, Nova Scotia. Look. Digby firefighters got the call late yesterday afternoon. 3 other fire departments were called in to help them, but the high winds, as you can see, fanned the flames. The heat there so intense, it cracked the windshield and melted some of the plastic moldings in the fire truck. In the past, the home was used by the county to shelter families and provide for a basic standard of living if a family couldn't pay their taxes. The Mounties in Truro are not ruling out foul play in the death of a missing man. The body of 22-year-old Colin McKenzie from the Indian Brook Reserve was found late this morning. McKenzie had been reported missing last Thursday. His body was discovered as Mounties searched a wooded area in Truro Heights, just on the western outskirts of the Millbrook Reserve, with police dogs. An autopsy will be performed tomorrow. A 40-year-old Moncton man is clinging to life tonight after a brutal assault outside this downtown Moncton pool hall happened around midnight today. 31-year-old Terry Nelson Steves has been charged with aggravated assault. He'll be back in court tomorrow morning for election and plea. The victim is critical in Moncton Hospital. Well, after a quiet weekend, things got pretty noisy around a West End Moncton picket line this morning. Here's what happened.
We want the city workers back! We want the city workers back! We want the city workers back!
Moncton striking outside workers were pretty vocal as replacement workers began digging up a broken water main, but they got some unexpected moral support from a group of people who live in the area. The at times violent strike is now into its 9th week. The owner of a company that operates video gaming machines in Cape Breton is now pulling them out of convenience stores. John Excited says he just wants to protect the store owners. ATV's Greg Boone live in Sydney with more on this one tonight. Greg?
Usual for the private machine owner to be taking his units back. But John Excited says the video lottery machines are in what's called a gray area of the law, and he feels the entire affair should be cleared up.
We are taking all our machines out of convenience stores, and we'll have them out by Friday.
Delta Games president John Excited won't say exactly how many video poker or lottery machines he owns, but it could be around 500. He admits taking them out of convenience stores is hurting both his business and that of store owners. Excited says the action is part of a long-standing fight with government over regulation or the lack of in the private sector.
I'm not afraid of any raid. We're fighting for privatization. We have over the last number of years. New Brunswick runs a private scheme and employs 600 people directly. We feel this province needs jobs. We fight for the private industry. We feel we're more efficient than they are.
The machine owner says he's sure the government will move to privatize the business because it's just that, and the private sector should be prepared.
I think it's more of an act of parliament than it has ever been a crime to society in the last number of years. People who are gambling, it's a form of entertainment. Yes, there are people who spend more money on gambling than they should, but there's also people who spend more money on liquor than they should.
Your business would be impacted if you lose the machines.
Oh, it will be impacted, definitely. Yes, it would be. With the machines in the store, you have that little extra revenue, and with them gone, I don't know what's going to happen with the stores, because we just can't afford to lose them.
On the street, reaction to the issue is mixed.
The ones that the government operate are fine, but the outside owners, if they want to get in on the profits or whatever, pay the government.
Take them out. Get rid of them.
The police have yet to receive any direct orders from the government on what action to take, but police forces in Cape Breton have been gathering intelligence on the machine operation, and they've been conducting an investigation for several months. Delta Games is laying off 11 of 13 employees, and some convenience store owners have already laid off staff as they wait for the decision on government regulation. Steve?
Yes, we'll have to wait to see what happens next as well. Thank you, Greg.
You're welcome.
23-year-old man from the Toronto area has pleaded guilty to illegally importing and trafficking in drugs. 8 big bundles of marijuana turned up in his suitcase yesterday while going through customs at Halifax International Airport. Canada Customs officers displayed the stash for the ATV cameras this afternoon. A total of 20 kilos of grass worth about $90,000 in all.
The gentleman that imported the marijuana was referred back to a secondary examination as part of the regular customs process, and the drugs were found in his baggage. And at that time, he was placed under arrest and subsequently turned over to the RCMP for processing through the court system.
Stephen Wade Connors of Scarborough, Ontario, was returning home via Halifax from Jamaica. He was sentenced to 3.5 years in prison. It's his first offense. Some people in a Dartmouth neighborhood say they're keeping an eye on their house pets tonight after reports a group of 11 and 12-year-old kids savagely beat a small animal to death. The animal was a wild muskrat that had been living in a nearby stream. ATV's Jonathan Kay is live in Dartmouth tonight. Any idea what was behind this, Jonathan?
Well, that's exactly what has the people in this neighborhood keeping watch over their house pets tonight, Steve. It appears there was no reason other than the sheer sport of watching it die.
At this time, we're looking into reports that there may have been an incident in the Dartmouth area.
People in this neighborhood say a group of 4 11 and 12-year-olds cornered a muskrat that had been living near this stream and beat it to death with shovels. Hearing a commotion outside, Debbie Coyce rushed to her door, but didn't see who the children were.
No, they took off. When I hollered out the door and told them I was phoning the SPC, they just took off running across the street.
And when you came over to look and see what was left, what did you see?
Gross. Just an animal that was beaten and his face was mushed in and he was cut and pretty bad. Yeah.
Neighbor Heather Sutherland says she and her daughter would often stop to watch the muskrat when they walked past the stream.
We get a lot of enjoyment out of going down and watching them swim in the water and stuff, and excuse me. But it's just, I think, the fact that anybody would torture an animal at all, that they know it's a one-way street. When you're killing an animal, he's not coming back, and we can't enjoy that little piece of wildlife anymore. It's gone.
11 and 12-year-olds are protected by the Young Offenders Act, although without witnesses, this case might not even get that far. Still, natural resources officials say parents should take an important lesson from this and pass it on to their children.
I think a lot of young people, if their friend down the street was beating their pet dog or throwing rocks at their cat, they take great exception to it, but they don't make that association that wild animals are animals as well, and they can be hurt.
Now, that's what a lot of parents are hoping here, Steve, in this neighborhood, that it was just a matter of children not stopping to consider that an animal is an animal, whether it's wild or a house pet. But I think it's safe to assume that a lot of the children in this neighborhood are going to get a talking to tonight, whether they were involved or not, from parents who want to make sure that this sort of thing doesn't happen again.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. On to other news now. The New Brunswick Conservative Party has closed the door on the possibility of 2 former core members of the legislature joining the party. Leader Dennis Cochran says the decision was made after meeting with the presidents of the riding associations in Albert and Southwest Miramichi.
The party has lived up to its obligations to its grassroots, and they have made a decision that I think will send a very positive signal to New Brunswickers, a positive signal that we do believe in the structure coming from the grassroots up, and also I think a positive signal to New Brunswickers that the party is not prepared to jeopardize its traditions or its policy.
Neither Bev Bryan nor Brent Taylor has officially approached the Conservative Party and asked to join. Both have recently reversed their positions on bilingualism, and this professor of political science thinks the Tories have missed a golden opportunity.
The people of New Brunswick of having a strong opposition party, which we simply do not have and had not had in this province for quite some time. This was a chance to put the Conservative Party back on the political map and have an effective official leader of the opposition, which we haven't enjoyed in this province, and I think that's not in the long term will be a shame.
The Conservative Party has 5 members in the legislature. The Core has 6. Bryan and Taylor are sitting as independent members since leaving the Core. Audrey McLaughlin is giving up her job as leader of the NDP, but not right away. While she won't lead the party in the next election, she will hang on until her replacement is chosen. Leslie Jones has more.
Go to Halifax.
As she arrived for the meeting with her party's executive, Audrey McLaughlin was refusing to publicly assess her job as leader or the party's electoral defeat, the worst in NDP history.
The party went wrong. I think that what we're doing now is talking and building the party, and it's a very exciting process.
Ever since the colossal defeat on election night, the question was not if Audrey McLaughlin would resign, but when. And even before she announced her decision to step down today, former colleagues seemed to be saying, good riddance. Ian Waddell says McLaughlin lacked the substance needed to lead a party.
There was perhaps a lack of depth on her part in dealing with some of their complicated economic issues, and she never really got the NDP position on the national agenda.
So, after 5 bruising years as leader, Audrey McLaughlin made it official and is stepping aside.
I will not be standing as leader in the next election.
But that doesn't mean Audrey McLaughlin will be leaving soon. She says she'll lead the party through its renewal process and until it selects a new leader in the spring of 1996. She says that doesn't exclude leadership hopefuls from showing their interest in the job in the meantime.
I would encourage any prospective leaders of this party to get very actively involved in the renewal process.
The challenge now for the party is how to make itself relevant to Canadians. Already, many party members are saying that can't happen with a caretaker leader who is still surrounded by the same team that helped take the party to stunning defeat in the last election. Leslie Jones, CTV News, Ottawa.
Your ATV Evening News continues in a moment with a Bosnian town under siege, close to surrender. And closer to home, a radical solution to the money crunch.
It may be required in the public interest that funding start being targeted for particular programs that are in the public interest.
Nova Scotia's federal cabinet minister came home today with $12 million of those Dingwall dollars. Minister in charge of ACOA, Dave Dingwall, announced a $10 million defense contract for Hermes Electronics of Dartmouth. That will save more than 50 jobs. Another $1 million goes to 32 companies, which will create another 23 jobs. Merging universities and colleges to save money may sound far-fetched, but it is being considered. As the Nova Scotia government and the university community attempt to grapple with their shrinking budgets, amalgamation of institutions to some degree is up for discussion. And as ATV's Heather Proudfoot tells us now in this live update, any move in that direction is sure to make for some heated debate. Right, Heather?
Well, that's right, Steve. Last week it was government telling certain universities and colleges to cut their teacher training programs. We could soon see government going even further.
Like that, and you can combine some of the administrative things, go for it. But when you start taking away programs and start losing your identity as university, that's when it happens.
These are engineering students. What would they say if the Technical University of Nova Scotia, for instance, was to become part of the Dalhousie University campus? Some say it's a bad idea, some say it's a good one.
I think it's a terrible idea. I think, like, if Tons, for example, were to lose its independence as a university and merge with Dal, then after that it's just losing more and more little things at a time.
Well, I feel it's a good idea, as the administration costs are obviously larger than they need to be.
The chair of Nova Scotia's Council on Higher Education acknowledges mergers or amalgamations may be considered. Janet Hallowell says a number of scenarios are being talked about. One scenario in one discussion paper outlines major institutions like St. Mary's and Mount St. Vincent universities remaining intact but sharing services.
The other aspect is to look at linkages among some of the residual universities in different ways. One of the options has them all to come together, but to say that there is a takeover or a win-lose situation is not correct.
Would the scenario, though, see loss of autonomy of any of the colleges or university?
It is possible.
Scenarios like that might see institutions like the Technical University roll into the Dalhousie campus.
Certainly on campuses like Tons, there would be a lot of concern by the faculty and staff about what would happen to their jobs and so on.
Government has made it clear, though, it has ways of getting what it wants, even from autonomous territorial institutions like universities.
it may be required in the public interest that funding start being targeted for particular programs that are in the public interest.
And that is, of course, the big stick the government wields, funding. The minister stresses, though, that the merging of institutions isn't necessarily what will happen in the end. If the universities move to cut costs or end duplication on their own, that could be enough. We should know more in about a month. A couple of more reports are due to be made public. Steve.
Always a hot topic. Thank you, Heather. Elsewhere on the planet today, as one Canadian remains hostage, thousands of people rallied in Sarajevo to protest the UN's failure to protect Gorazda. Bosnia's Muslim president criticized the UN for not taking stronger action to stop the Serb offensive in Gorazda. While Bosnian Croats and Muslims are releasing each other as prisoners in recognition of an April 14th agreement, the first group of 154 prisoners from a camp in Rodak was released this morning. And still ahead tonight in your ATV Evening News, Phil, and your maritime weather forecast. Plus, are maritimers really taking full advantage of the 3 R's?
It comes in the door, it's sorted, and it goes out the door, and hopefully earns some money to help defray the expense.
Reduce, reuse, recycle, those rules of environmental preservation have been around for a long time, but many maritimers don't have the opportunity to take part in organized recycling programs, and many who do still don't. The reasons for recycling are obvious from the environmental standpoint, but there's another good reason to blue bag it, and ATV's Fonz Jessam's live with that for us tonight. Fonz?
Well, Steve, the simple reason is that recycling creates jobs right here in the Maritimes. And if you've been thinking about joining an existing blue bag program, that in itself may be enough reason to start sorting. People running recycling companies want us to know that this old piece of paper is not just trash. To them, it's a valuable resource. These people know recycling means jobs. In the 2 years since the metro area recycling plant opened, it has seen a steady increase in the materials it handles. The plant now takes more items from homeowners and will continue to expand as it finds markets for new materials. The items sorted here are sold to a host of small companies throughout the region. Maritime plants are turning recycled goods into a wide range of products. The thermocell insulation plant outside Truro is one of those companies. Without recycled newspapers, it would not be here.
First and foremost, serve this plant with newspaper. If I can't serve this plant with newspaper, using all of the means at my disposal, then I can't keep the plant here. And the area will lose the plant and the income from it.
The workers here know their jobs depend on what many people consider a nuisance, recycling trash.
If we don't recycle, we don't have a job. Simple as that. That means a job for a lot of people in the community and things like that. We could get lots of paper from the Maritimes, it would really help. We have to import it from Ottawa and sometimes from the States when we get desperate.
Although recycling has been promoted as a responsible habit for many years, this plant cannot get enough newsprint with existing recycling programs, and as a result, has set up a new depot of its own in nearby Truro. The company has left a large number of these newspaper recycling bins throughout the community in the hope that the people here will realize their old newspapers are a valuable commodity, and that by recycling them, they not only benefit the environment, but the local economy as well. In Truro, Fonz Jessam, ATV News.
Phil McLaughlin with what we hope will be an environmentally friendly forecast for you next here on the ATV Evening News. Nice evening out there, too.
It was just a business lunch, but somehow it was a little too long. Somehow it was just a little too intimate. And somehow when we stepped outside, it was suddenly spring.
Will we always smile or will we say goodbye? Who is that child I see in your eyes? Will we fall or will we fly?
To build a winner, you gotta have hard-working guys you can depend on. A good, solid enforcer. Great moves, tough in the corners, and not afraid to go to the net. The only thing better than one good enforcer is two good enforcers.
Now at your Ford and Mercury dealers, get full-size Enforcer, only $13,294. Or choose new Ranger Compact Enforcer, now only $10,847. Plus this crested jacket.
Enforcer's tough enough for me and Blue is one tough pup. Bushy too.
Well, all value menus are not created equal. So what makes Arby's new value menu so special? Quite simply the food. Like our 3 Arby's roast beef sandwiches. Have it plain, topped off with cheddar cheese sauce or melted Swiss. Arby's value menu is full of deliciously unique items for only 99 cents each. Arby's new 99-cent value menu. A special price on special food every day at participating Arby's roast beef restaurants.
New record time of the Boston Marathon today, 2 hours, 7 minutes, 15 seconds. They're crediting ideal weather conditions, which are moving this way, right?
Yes, the nice weather is coming. Well, we always have nice weather here in the Maritimes. Going to the jet stream quickly, we find the ridge across the Canada-U.S. border, and very hot weather in here, into the Nebraska area, into the low 30s expected today, and it is back there, very, very hot. But we have this pocket of cool weather coming our way, but all that's going to do is put our temperatures pretty much where they should be, in the high single digits for daytime highs. Today's weather map, a weak frontal trough pushed through the area today and gave us a bit of cloud, a bit of rain showers here and there, but very scattered. A few wet snow flurries across northern New Brunswick, and a bit of sunshine as well. But off to the west, towards the upper Great Lakes, we're watching this system coming towards the Maritimes to bring us a few showers later tomorrow, going into Wednesday. But it's a relatively dry system. A broad ridge of high pressure across the southern U.S. is preventing any significant moisture to come up from the Gulf of Mexico and feed that system. So we're not looking at a lot of rain, and we don't want a lot of rain again. So here's a close-up, some patchy cloud across the Maritimes. We go back to the Great Lakes. Here we pick up the cloud mass with the next system to come in and to bring that precipitation. The close-up for this hour, patchy clouds, I say, across the Maritimes, some sunshine across much of mainland Nova Scotia, seeing a few showers here and there across PEI and New Brunswick, and off more to the west, we go right to the system, the leading edge, a band of showers back over the Great Lakes, and I say that's coming later in the day tomorrow. Putting all into motion, we have this trough. We'll see the cloud rotating towards the Maritimes through the past 24 hours, and of course that kicked off a few scattered showers. Most people missed the showers, but those who did get them, well, there wasn't a lot even in that today, just enough to make the streets wet sort of thing. Forecast-wise, over the Maritimes tonight, we will still go with the scattered showers here and there, primarily through the evening hours, and then a clearing trend coming in, stars, sliver of the moon overhead, almost half moon now. Overnight lows, coldest across northern New Brunswick, down around -2, elsewhere near the freezing mark, maybe slightly above. For the day Tuesday, a bit of cloud cover will persist in the Cape Breton areas. The system moves out, the trough that is, and then sunshine coming back, clouds thickening up as the day does wear on. Showers coming in tomorrow evening, and I would think we're looking at 5-10 millimeters tops tomorrow with the precipitation, so not a lot. Another mild day. There you can see the temperatures. Hope you can find one close to where you are. For the day Wednesday, the system going through, high at 12, and then for Thursday and Friday, we cool off back to where we should be for this time of year. Blend of cloud and sunshine. Showers, perhaps, scattered again, maybe a wet snow flurry even across northern New Brunswick again for the day Thursday. So showers coming in and not expecting a lot of rain. Steve?
All right, thank you, Phil. Here's what's coming up tomorrow night here at 6 o'clock. Will it take government ID to control underage smoking? You know, some critics say that phony liquor IDs are easy to get, that they're making a mockery of the drinking age. Papers, please, tomorrow at 6. That's our news for now. For my colleagues on both sides of our cameras, I'm Steve Murphy. Thank you and good night from the ATV News team.